All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to episode 30 of the KissFAQ podcast. I am your host this week, Lonnie, stlkiss, on the FAQ message board, and I am joined today by Julian, the admin, Alex, BagBoy, and Marcus Almighty. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Couple quick hits before we get going. First off, in case you guys aren't aware, there's several different ways to listen to the show. Not only is it on YouTube, and it's also on iTunes, it's on Spreaker. You can download episodes at the KissFAQ. So there's 4 different ways for you to listen to the show, and we don't care how you're listening to the show, just as long as you are listening to the show. And if you guys haven't liked the KissFAQ podcast on Facebook, go out there and take a look for it. Just type in KissFAQ podcast. It's real easy to find. Leave some comments there after you get done ripping the current lineup on the FAQ message board.
Or each other.
Right. Or making personal attacks at each other. So, today's topic on the show is Kiss at the movies. And through Kiss's career, they haven't been shy about making the transition from being recording artists to appearing on movies and on different television spots. And there's not only are there the episodes and movies that we are all familiar with, there's also things that Kiss wanted to do or attempted to do that didn't quite come to fruition. And we're going to try to touch on those as well, but we're going to see how things go here. So, guys, let's jump right in and start with the movies that Kiss has been involved in. And obviously the first movie that they were involved in is the full-length feature film from 1978, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. There's Julian's vintage VHS copy. I have the old clamshell one, looks like a Disney movie. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw it out to you guys, to talk about Kiss Meets the Phantom. And, not only what you think about the movie, but, what your impressions were maybe like the first time you saw the movie. And obviously it might be a different impression to how you view the movie now. So, Mark, let's throw it to you on Kiss Meets the Phantom. What are your thoughts on Kiss Meets the Phantom? What were your thoughts the first time you saw it? And were you disappointed? Did you love it? What do you think?
Well, I remember the very first time I actually saw it was, it was a while ago. It was probably like 1989 or something like that. I rented it at a local video store here in Brampton area. And I remember I watched it once, and the first thing that kind of caught me about it when I watched it the first time was that it took so damn long to see Kiss, like the actual members. And I was like, what the heck did I get the right movie here? Am I watching the right thing here? And to be honest, at first, I don't remember too much about it the first time I watched it, because like I said, that was years and years ago. But what struck me was I ended up getting a copy of Kissology 2. And as we all know, there was a copy of the Attack of the Phantoms, I think it is, right? That one. And that one. And that was actually the very first time I did a real sit-down of it and watched it. And one that I actually decided to make a real concerted effort to watch it, seriously. And, it's definitely a movie of its times. There's the tacky things in it. I mean, I guess the thing that I got the benefit of in compared to the Phantom of the Park version is that I have, that version that's out now has all the Kiss solo material songs in replacement of most of the, stock disco porno guitar music that was put in the original one. So, and I mean, I'm a liker of most of the solo album stuff, so I kind of liked that, and I thought that, for what it was, and more importantly, for how much of a, split band they were at that time with all the problems that was going on, they made a pretty good performance of not making it seem too seen on that film that they were not exactly best of friends on it. It seemed like they were still a pretty together group on that film, and it's, one could be fooled to think that they were a tightly knit group at that point still, and they, like they've said before many times, they're not actors, and it's very obvious in that movie that they're not. But for kids between the age of 6 and 12, I think that it did the job that it needed to do. I think people liked it. Overseas apparently it did really well, from what I understand. I think that people went and saw it. I mean, I think that actually got a theatrical release overseas, where it didn't here. It was just television over here, I believe. But yeah, I think for what it was supposed to do, it did its job. And I've seen better movies, obviously. I'm sure we all have. But it's a sign of the times that showed that they were that big that they could make a movie. I mean, not many bands were making movies at that time, with the exception of maybe the Beatles, and maybe I think the Bee Gees did some kind of a spin-off thing of a Beatles movie or something like that. So, it just showed that they were in that position enough to do it. And I thought that it was all right. I mean, they could have did it a lot better, I thought, but, for a first movie, I guess it's pretty good.
Yeah. The Attack of the Phantoms is interesting with the solo material on there. I had never seen that before Kissology had come out, and it's entertaining to hear the different music on there. But I like the Hanna-Barbera soundtrack though on there.
I was going to say that one is that one, the original one. I've only actually just viewed that, I think maybe about a week ago, from beginning to end, the actual original one. So that was very fresh to me. And there was, and if correct me if I'm wrong, but there are some different edits in that as well too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some different scenes in there. It's a little bit different editing, like when he lets Devereaux go and that whole sequence. But I don't know. For me, I like the Kiss Meets the Phantom, the original. I first saw it when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and it was on Channel 11, like a Saturday afternoon. And very impressionable, 8 or 9 years old. You see that movie, I just think it's the coolest thing I ever seen in my life. And I don't even think we had a VCR even at that point when I saw it. So I never saw it again until I was like 17 years old. And local music store had a copy of it on VHS, and it's like $30 or $35 in 1997, which is pretty good for a pretty good amount that he wanted for it. But I was like, I gotta have it, and I rushed home and I watched it and couldn't wait, and I was just so disappointed when I watched it, because it was not what I had built it up in my mind to be for like the last 8 or 9 years. And it obviously has it's not geared, and here it's not geared toward the 17-year-old kid what it was when I saw it for the second time. It was geared to the 8 or 9 year old version of me that saw it on Channel 11 as a kid, and that's what their target audience, that's what they were going after. I mean, like it or not. And I think that's why, and it goes into why a lot of later age teens and kids in their 20s didn't go to the Dynasty tour. They kind of maybe outgrown Kiss, and this isn't the dangerous rock and roll band that I grew up with in 75, 76, 77. They're changing their target audience, and I can only stand to watch it every so often. It's not something I pull out and for standard viewing or anything like that. But it could have been a Kiss movie in 1978 when Kiss was at their peak. Could have been a whole lot different had it been produced differently and had a different, if they had targeted a different audience with a different script. But Julian, what are your thoughts on Kiss Meets the Phantom?
Well, in preparing for this discussion, I will have to admit that this is the first time I have ever made it through Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Without being drunk? Without being drunk?
Without being anything. I have never been able to watch it. It has, going back to the 80s when I first became a fan, I think it was on TV around the time, in whatever version that was, and I just thought it was so awful that I just could not watch it. It was just utter rubbish with no plot really to of any quality. All right, so, growing up in the 70s, you would have had a completely different outlook on the movie than I did, getting into the band in the mid-80s. So because I would have been 6 living in England in 1978, I never got to see the movie. So my outlook is more of that mid-1980s heavy metal, burnout rat than, it would have been. So I don't get the movie, even though I recognize that the style of that movie was completely different. Than TV shows in the 80s. It was very similar to how they were shooting stuff in the 70s. So I'm a bit out of time for that. I love the soundtrack of the Attack of the Phantoms. Once I got to watching that version of the movie, I thought it was a much better movie. Maybe there are differences in the edits. Some of the scenes, they move things around a bit for that. And they'd obviously given it a bit more time and work. So it works better than the original version for me. Plus, obviously, I went from watching VHS to watching DVD. So there's a change in clarity. Much better. So Attack's really cool. Love the solo album stuff, replacing that cornball softcore porn music. But that's just, a matter of cup of tea.
Yeah, I like the original with the soft porn music personally, but it's I don't know, because maybe it's just because it's the first one I saw and it's what I saw when I was 8 or 9, just imprinted in my mind. But it's a good point where it depends on when you saw it the first time, and if you saw it in '78 when it first came out, is how that movie stands out in your mind. Alex, what are your thoughts on Kiss Meets the Fan?
Well, like I mentioned before, for myself growing up, the film wasn't widely available. So for myself, it was kind of hard to find, but, one day you could look it up on Amazon and you bought a copy for like $20 and finally got to see it after seeing like various clips from, the other Kiss things, Extreme Close-Up and Beyond the Makeup. And I feel like those programs, obviously, they expressed their opinions about the film, so it helped kind of build up what not to expect or what not. Like I said, the first time watching the film, I was like looking for aces after, if I could spot the difference between aces African American, stunt double, or ace Frehley. The music, the Hanna-Barbera, I don't know, I was used to it. Like I said, growing up as a kid watching those Hanna-Barbera cartoons on like Cartoon Network and so forth, I was able to pick out where the songs came from, such as this is from Scooby Doo or that's from the Smurfs. But then Attack of the Phantoms, it was cool because it was a much pristine condition. It was so clear. I mean, Julian, you mentioned before of the live footage from those shows that they recorded at Magic Mountain, and just the quality of those. I mean, if they had recorded a full concert, the way they filmed that concert footage for the movie, it'd be a killer show to see. I mean, you can see all the details of that stage set, the Alive 2 stage set, which of course was, was iconic of the band's image. I had to go with Lonnie. I'm a fan of the Hanna-Barbera one. Maybe that's because that was the first one I saw, and they kind of cut some of Ace's lines out, like that irritated me and stuff. There's like that one scene in Kiss Meets the Phantom when they're looking at the talisman and stuff. And the girl Melissa she goes, "What is that humming sound?" And Ace Frehley goes, "Beethoven's Fifth." And they cut that line out and stuff. Or there was there was like one scene where they're walking by the Chamber of Thrills, and Ace Frehley quotes, "She wants a rocket ride," and they totally cut that out from the Attack of the Phantoms. I like some of the cuts from Attack of the Phantoms, and the solo music was a nice touch on the flip side of that too, but I don't know. I feel like that Hanna-Barbera, music just it allows it to be a great time capsule of the era of the films, and I gotta have fun. There was a girl in one of my political science class. She's a huge Marvel fan, and she was talking about seeing all the Marvel films and stuff. And then she like Kiss. She goes, they had a comic book, and I was like, yeah, they did. And she goes, did they ever do a movie? And I was like, they did. And so
kind of embarrassed by it.
So she totally watched it, and she totally watched that. So now, mind you, this is not like the Avengers stuff of today and stuff, so I don't think you're going to see anything great, but she got a kick out of seeing the Kiss Meets the Phantom. I did get a copy of the Hanna-Barbera one on DVD a couple years ago.
Yeah, I have a bootleg. I think it's Kiss Meets the Phantom. It's by like cheesy pictures or something.
Cheesy flicks.
Yeah, just like that.
That one came out in 2005, and I'm still trying to figure out if it's legit or not. So
sounds about right. 2005. So, I think you bring up an excellent point that the biggest tragedy of the whole movie, though, is that concert footage was not filmed in the proper manner. I mean, it's Kiss at their peak in 1978, the Live 2 stage, and it's a shame that we don't have a full length. I mean, yeah, we have those pro shots from Houston and Largo and that from that era, but to have that show would just be incredible.
The camera angles on the live footage, I mean, I was just, thoroughly enjoying when I watched The Attack the other day. Looking back behind Peter towards the audience, up towards the band, just angles that you never get out of a pro shot video or, even audience, just the angles and the zooming in, what an incredible way to see Kiss at their height. And just to think that most of that footage, because they probably shot a fair amount, probably ended up in a garbage can. I mean, if someone did get that stuff, great. It'd be great to know that it was preserved because it's just awesome. Another part of the movie I do like, and it's a character, and I think it's Calvin, going, I built this park and I run it. It just made me think of Mo Green out of The Godfather. And it may have been that Rocco had just died. What was it, a couple weeks ago that he was kind of in my head, but he came across as that sort of character, whereas Devereaux is nothing. He's such, like a meek little, character. He's not the evil dude. I mean, but best for whom, Calvin? What about my work? I mean, I have absolutely no sympathy for him, as that being the part where he starts going crazy in the movie. But I find it hard to be sympathetic to the bad guy when he's such a little weaselly, weak, character.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the plot is lacking. There isn't much of a plot. I mean, to it, it could have been so much better, Kiss in 1978, had they done something different than the angle in which they went. But it is what it is. It's embarrassing to the band. I was surprised they even put it on Kissology 2, to be perfectly honest with you, that they even put Attack of the Phantoms on there, because Gene and Paul are really embarrassed by the film.
And so they should be.
No, you're exactly right.
Wasn't it like a rumor too, like for the longest time, like you couldn't even mention the film around the band, like they would like go ape shiz crazy on you if you like mention it?
No, they talked about it in interviews.
I mean, like in the 80s and stuff.
One of the cool things about it, The Elder and how they deny that, but they say it's a great album, but it's not a great Kiss album. Notice how they've never said that about this. It's a great movie, it's just not a great Kiss movie.
No. It's not a good movie.
No delusions there.
I think they put it on, though, mainly because from what I don't know if this is correct or not, but I almost get the feeling that they put it on because they just got pressured to put it on. I think a lot of fans wanted to see it, I think. I mean, I think there was probably a good core of fans who are maybe like me, who hadn't seen it in 20 years, and you can't find it anywhere. I mean, right now, there's no more Blockbusters or places like that to go and rent stuff like that. And even when they did, you were hard pressed to find something like that. So I think that it just came down to the fans kind of saying what they wanted, and with Gene's motto again, we do what the fans want. So maybe they just caved in and put it in.
They don't do what the fans want. They do it because Cheesy Flicks put out the year before. So, how much money were they seeing out of that? So
yeah, probably not a lot, but I mean, there had to be a reason if they didn't like it that much, right?
True.
Yeah, but I don't know. To me, it's just they're so embarrassed by it. I was surprised they put it on there. Yeah, they probably saw what Cheesy Flicks was doing. It's like, we're not going to let them make money off of us. We got to make money. We're Kiss. So, but anyway, any more thoughts on Kiss Meets the Phantom? I mean, it's it is what it is. It's geared toward a younger audience, obviously, and
It's the time.
Yeah, and it like Alex said, it's a good time capsule, especially with that Hanna-Barbera music. You really put yourself in 1978. Saturday night on NBC, and it was the second most watched thing on NBC in 1978. I think I heard that. Like, number one was the Super Bowl, and number two was Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. That's how big Kiss was in 1978. Just put yourself in that moment.
So just think about how much damage that did to the band. That many people saw. I guess it's
the tour results for Dynasty speak for themselves after that, maybe.
Yeah. I must say the acoustic version of Beth is another highlight in that movie. It would be great to get that released on some archival audio format to have the whole song. And I want to bring up one really geeky tangent on Phantom. If you look at the credits at the end, there's a transportation captain called Wayne Roberts. And when I was watching, I actually even watched the credits the other day, I was like, Wayne Roberts, Here's a related movie. Wayne Roberts is in Sin in the Suburbs, and that was a pseudonym of Neil Bogart. So, Neil Bogart's in this softcore film in 1964. So, due to the same name.
Did you say softcore?
Softcore. Yeah, he doesn't take his clothes off, though. So,
sorry, Alex.
If anyone's still thinking...
I would say I learned one lesson from Kiss Meets the Phantom myself. Rock and rollers don't bathe.
Anyway. So, Kiss puts out the movie Detroit Rock City in 1999. And I remember the hype. I was perfect age. This is perfect age for me when this came out. 1999, I'm 20 years old. Height of my Kiss fanboydom after Psycho Circus, a couple months before the farewell tour was announced. But Detroit Rock City I remember the hype and the promotion for this, really building up to it, and really got, at least for me personally, really excited for it, that it was really going to be a cutting edge thing. I remember watching the VH1's premiere for it and watching Kiss perform at the premiere when they played Detroit Rock City, and I think they played Cold Gin also. Maybe it's on Kissology, obviously, but and they had like some interviews with the stars on VH1. Like they ran like this whole special on VH1 or MTV, like right before it came out. Really built up. Really, I think they did a decent amount of promotion for it through MTV and VH1 and on Kiss Online, obviously at the time. And I remember seeing the trailers for it in the theater. It was, I think the promotion for it was good. It was there. So Friday night it comes out August 13th, 1999. All right, I'm going to go see the Kiss movie, put on my Kiss shirt, and here I come. Oh, there's no one standing in line outside to get in. Well, okay, we'll go inside at Theater 4. Okay, walk inside. There might be 4 people inside Theater 4, and I got in there, and I was like, oh, and I was shocked. I'm like, well, where is everybody? This is supposed to be really cool. And there was somebody in there. One of the 4 people in there had the makeup on. He was geared up and ready to go. Obviously, if he's sitting in the movie theater with the makeup on, man, I'm not that geeky, Told my girlfriend at the time, look at me, I'm pretty cool compared to this guy. Anyway,
You're not a real fan. You're not a real fan.
Right. So, the 19-year-old, 20-year-old in me at the time when the movie came out, I enjoyed it at the time. Granted, again, there's not enough Kiss in the movie for me, that you don't see Kiss until obviously the ending sequence. And Gene described, I remember complaints about that when the movie came out, and Gene was like, well, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You don't see the wizard until the very end of the movie. And Kiss is like the Wizard of Oz. It's a journey to see Kiss. I'm like, give me a break. But it would have been cool if the band could have been more involved, if there maybe a change in the script, that the band is somehow more involved in the film to some extent. But, they describe the film, and obviously it's like a coming-of-age film. We've all seen it. And it has its funny moments. There's some good one-liners in there. I always told my friends that Mrs. Bruce was kind of like my mom. Going into that before with my mom, thinking Kiss was satanic with me growing up, and that I saw similarities with Mrs. Bruce and my mother, but I'm not going to go into that too much in case my mom is watching. So, Julian, what are your thoughts on Detroit Rock City?
When they were talking about making the movie, I was, kind of interested because I hadn't been a part of the Phantom, era.
Right.
So here was the first real Kiss movie that, I got to be a part of, and that it was going to happen in my lifetime when I was a fan of the band. And as we heard more and more about the script, and I think I sent you guys a copy of the full script with all the little differences that didn't make it into the movie. But, it was just uninspiring when it got closer to it coming out. We'd seen clips, I'd gotten a trailer for it, and it just didn't do anything for me. I understood what they were trying to do as sort of the road trip. There's elements again in it that I do like and enjoy, and I'll say that I do not enjoy the live footage in this one. There are better scenes, and there's some pretty funny stuff, to be frank. But I was more wrapped up in the soundtrack. That this was, they were roping in big names to be, to cover classic material. They were going to re-record, and they did re-record Detroit Rock City, and that was going to be on the soundtrack. And Paul was going to write some new songs for the album. And then we find out that Diane Warren and Nothing Can Keep Me From Puking on You is, going to be the new song, and it just. Bloody hell, that's a big fucking spider.
Kill it.
That was a big fucking spider. Pardon me. It was not Cecil the Lion, so don't be coming after me, people. I'm not a dentist. All right, so getting back to the soundtrack, I was so bummed out when they got Diane Warren, and I know Paul had reasons that he either couldn't, wasn't willing, wasn't motivated, or things were just so bad in the band at that point that he didn't want to write new music. And that, for me, was going to be the key to the movie, that it was going to have new Kiss music associated with it, so I got myself all excited about it. It comes out, I don't even bother going to the cinema. I've seen the trailer, I'm not motivated by it at all. I'm like, I will wait for DVD for this. And I did wait for DVD. And when
You're really not a real fan.
No, I'm just a hater in sheep's clothing. So it was disappointing when I saw it on DVD finally. Again, there's stuff I love. I love the Guidos, and I love the line when they're going down the highway after Christine, and horror movies start with
Right.
but porno movies too. I just love that line, and I love Shannon in the male strip club. I love her character as the cougar there. I thought that's really entertaining. And then Beth, again, we get these names from the Kiss songs being thrown in. So I love how they incorporated that. But again, the quality of the script really is not up to par. Though it's a Kiss movie, so I don't know what the hell I'm expecting. So it's me. It's not the movie, but obviously it is the movie because, the box office weekend it grossed $2 million the first week, $1,000 per cinema, and it was released in 1,800 cinemas. So it obviously isn't. It's not just me or the Kiss Army is just not going to the cinema. So yeah, it's got some cool stuff. And watching it again over the weekend, there are a lot of stuff I was laughing at. The Guidos are the best part to me. It's just, I love that sort of stuff because that reminds me of the dicks in high school who, liked MC Hammer or whatever. I can't even remember what it was in 85. And looked down at you because you like Kiss. So, cool stuff.
Absolutely. I think the Guidos is a great point. That's something that everyone could relate to with people in their high school or people of their demographic, whether you weren't in high school, when you weren't a Kiss fan in high school. But to me, like when I was in high school, I love Kiss and people looked down at me for liking Kiss. I was that's not cool. And it was 96, 97. It was the height of the reunion tour when I was a senior in high school. And I was all into it. I sewed like the Kiss patch on my backpack and shit like that. People would legitimately give you a hard time for liking them. I'll listen to people in my high school were in the REM and Dave Matthews Band, 96, 97, around that. Listen to that. Now you go back 20 years, almost 20 years later, listen to that, and it just sounds like a bunch of garbage. And I thought it sounded like garbage too. And I remember people telling me, "Oh, Kiss, they're gay." Well, turns out the lead singer of REM really is gay. So. But anyway, I think the Guidos is an excellent point. That I think it's something that all Kiss fans can relate to. That people that are associated with, looking down on you for liking Kiss, whether it was 1978, whether it was 1996, whether it was 1985. Kiss was always seen by maybe the cool kids as, not living up to. It's not as cool as what I listen to. Mark, what are your thoughts on Detroit Rec City?
Well, I'm going to start this off by saying this movie is, again, another classic example of what the main problem with Kiss was. They, again, released something and were much too late with it, I think. I mean, this movie should have came out much earlier. I mean, when they came out with the reunion tour and they did all that they were everywhere in every newspaper, every magazine cover. There was just like hysteria, as you would say, everywhere with this band. I mean, then they go and release the movie in 1999 when it's already on its way down. I mean, Psycho Circus, the tour didn't do very well. I mean, the reaction to the band after the reunion tour was, everyone pretty much was like, okay, I saw the reunion tour, and then the record didn't, it was all right. I mean, people, I guess, were okay with it, but it was already on the downswing at this point, and then they come out with the movie. I mean, I was in a similar boat as you guys. I went to go see it at the movie theater, and there was literally 3 people and my friends there. And then this was on a Saturday too. It was like completely dead. I mean, we looked at each other and we couldn't believe it. Like, we didn't expect it to be a full house by any stretch of the imagination, but we thought for sure maybe a quarter of the house might be full on a Saturday, but no. There was like literally 3 other people and then my group of friends, and that's it. So, again, this is, I thought, another example of them just being too late. It's like they were in that time in the 80s with their records. They were chasing and always releasing a record 1 year too late, and again, they were too late with this movie. They should have did it. If they were going to do a movie like this, why didn't they do it before? I mean, obviously, okay, they were probably busy and there was lots of other things going on, so they probably maybe couldn't time-wise done it, but it would have been a smarter thing to release in maybe 97 or something like that, coming off the end of the reunion tour when they were still huge in people's eyes and the talk of the town and stuff like that. I think they would have easily gotten double the attendance for sure for that, I mean,
yeah,
who knows? I mean, I'm not
might have been 6 people in Lonnie's theater with them.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just one of these factors where I think that they would have did it. Time always seems to be against them. You know what I mean? That time is the enemy of Kiss for some reason. They never seem to fall on track with things when they should do it. I mean, there's always maybe we don't know what's going on inside their group of business people, but I wish that those kind of things would pan out for them sometimes, I mean, the reunion tour thing panned out for them. They did it at the right time. They capitalized on it, and that was great. But that's one of the rare occasions, I think, where it worked out for them. Now, as for the movie itself, I liked it. I mean, I remember going to the theater, and I remember, just like you guys, there was a lot of things that I was cracking up about, like the whole "see you next period" joke that he said in the beginning of the movie and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff in there that I could relate to at that point, where high school wasn't that far removed from me at that point, you know what I mean? So I could kind of relate to the high school humor and, like the whole getting out of class thing, like that whole scene with him trying to get out of the shop class to go to the phone call. I could totally relate to that because I had a certain kind of an emergency like that I had to do, and I had that kind of a dickhead teacher that wouldn't let you go out of the class either, right? So these kind of things I totally related to, and I think that's why, in my eyes, I'm not going to thumbs down this movie. I think it was pretty good. I mean, sure, there could have been more of Kiss in it, but I think they purposefully put themselves out of it because they didn't want to have the same thing happen like in Phantom of the Park. I mean, a lot of times they were, being criticized for, the acting was terrible and this and that. And I think they put themselves out of that picture so that if, they wanted to it's like they almost wanted to give the movie a chance by them not being in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So people would take it more seriously by having legitimate, more, actor type people in it, right? But I like you said, a lot of those characters ideas were strong. Like Guido's are really cool. Being an SCTV fan, I really loved the whole priest bit there with I forget what the guy's name is who played the priest, but he's a total SCTV alumnus guy, and the whole putting the mushrooms on the pizza would just kill me because I remember doing the whole mushroom bit back in high school too, right, and stuff like that. It's just so many things in that movie I could go back to and just relate to. I think that's why it connected with me a lot more than Phantom of the Park ever would, obviously, right? Because, I mean, when that came out, I was only like 6 years old, but this is more along my timeline, right? So, and the soundtrack, I agree with Julian, was really good. I mean, I remember a lot of times in the movie theater just kind of bopping along when, Jailbreak came on and stuff like that, and thinking, hey, this is really good, no bad porno wah music in this, stuff like that. So it was actually, for once they got that part right. The music was rocking, the story was better, was something that you could kind of relate to if you're from that time era, like Lonnie and us are from that, sort of age group, right? So I think overall it was a lot better, and I wish that they would have maybe gotten a little bit more of a chance with it, but I can't really say too many bad things about it. I mean, the funny thing was watching that premiere that they did when they played that performance outside when they did those 4 songs. I mean, when they pan out and take a look at when they show the audience, you can totally tell these are not Kiss fans. These are just, Hollywood bigwiggers who just got a bunch of passes to come and see it because they work within the industry most likely, because half of them just kind of looked like they were just clapping along and probably didn't even know what the heck they were listening to half the time, right? But, I think the movie was good. Much better movie in my eyes than Phantom of the Park is. I might get a bit of heat for saying that, but I definitely think so.
No, I agree. It's a better film than Kiss Me, Phantom. The soundtrack is excellent, and there's even a lot of songs, obviously, that are in the movie that don't even appear on the soundtrack. Then you have the Everclear version of The Boys Back in Town, the Manson version of Highway to Hell. It's a really shame that the Detroit Rock City remake did not end up on the soundtrack. That was one thing I was really looking forward to. It was in like some of the press releases that the band was re-recording Detroit Rock City, and I went out and got the soundtrack maybe a week or so before it came out, and was really disappointed that it wasn't on there. It was a big letdown to me. Alex, what are your thoughts on Detroit Rock City?
I still remember I was 10 in California. I was visiting my grandparents and seeing the trailer, because I heard rock and roll and that, and like when you're a Kiss fan, you hear any, riff of a Kiss song, you automatically like tune in, like, oh, what's that? That's a Kiss song. I know it. Awesome. And, but I was 10 and my grandpa wanted to take me. He's like, I'll take you to go see it. And my mom, she's like Mrs. Bruce, I mean, she wasn't crazy, but so it's funny. I had my mom and my stepmom, and they both passed, and love them both to death still, no matter what. But they were both always like, Kiss is the devil, being LDS and stuff, religious, and so I've always had that whole the religious, So for me, like when I watched the film, it was like, I mean, I didn't have as crazy this or that, and most of that crazy, but I could relate to the film for me, and I'm going like, man, I've had those struggles. Oh, it took forever. Like when I finally got my tickets in 2009 to go see Kiss for the first time, it was like, oh my goodness, I finally made it here and stuff. And I was like, nothing is getting in my way. I've seen Detroit Rock City. I don't care. I will kill people if my tickets get burned. I will kill people. I am not going down. I have waited way too long for this moment. I was 20 years old. And so I think the film was great. dialogue. It's a campy, kind of like Dazed and Confused. That kind of like high school, college humor. Let's make some sex and drug references here or there. Might throw a boob in. Here or there. They do have a boob scene in Detroit Rock City, and the only horrendous thing for me from the movie was I hate that fake tongue that they show in the Detroit Rock City ending. I mean, the Detroit Rock City, the song, the concert scene wasn't the greatest, but that fake tongue scene, if I could cut that out, I feel like it'd be an alright concert montage at the end. That part, like, I was like, what the crap? No, don't do that. That's terrible. But the plot line was good. Definitely a lot of cliches here or there. Like with Trip. What's your name? They call me Dr. Love. Like, oh, I see what you did there. He's sly dog you. But overall, it's a fun movie. And I guess for myself, like, I got on iTunes the first, and then I got to give a big shout out. Thanks to Ken Mills for my DVD copy, because I wanted on the podcast and stuff. They had like a little trivia thing, so I got my DVD from them. It's being on 26 now. In that age group, it's a fun movie. It was a blast. Not like anything. Not earth shattering. Not worthy of any. I don't know, what are the big movie awards they give out?
Oscars,
not Oscar worthy or anything there, but it was fun. But like Mark said, Kiss has always seemed to kind of be a little bit behind the bandwagon here or there. But they had something. I think another podcast mentioned it, and I wish they did it. Where they would have had, even if they didn't show the Kiss members, in makeup. Earlier, if they would have had cameos at the amount of makeup, it kind of reminds me. Did you guys ever see this remake of the Brady Bunch movies? They did like the 2 Brady Bunch films in the 90s. One of the films, they have like 5 of the original cast members have cameos though. Because they had the only cast, but they had like 5 of the originals. Like, I think it was like a scene where they go to like a car dealership, and you had the guy that played Greg, the original Greg, he was like the car dealer. If they'd done that with Kiss, maybe they would have went to like a convenience store, and there would have been like Ace working behind the counter,
or Gene
kind of
the DJ or something.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of like Father Philip McNulty, have Gene playing him, since he's played those sort of characters before. In the DJ, when they go to pick up the tickets, have Peter or Ace, doing one of those. Ace would be great. Kind of cracking up. And then, in the other roles, have, instead of the buff, topless bartender dude, Paul Stanley.
Paul Stanley. Exactly. That'd be hilarious.
And then get, that to me would have been a great idea.
Yeah. Because then that would have been perfect, and because then they could have been in it, had a small enough role that they wouldn't have, been worried about derailing the film, and because they're not in makeup, people may not have really just associated it to them that quickly. You know what I mean? Like the common Joe Public person maybe might not have caught it, because it was that quick, right?
Yeah, I would have paid money to see Gene Simmons playing Father Philip reacting to mushrooms on a pizza. I would have loved to have seen Gene's take, his interpretation of someone on drugs. Would have been awesome.
He did the brownie thing, right? So he could at least kind of channel that back, right?
And then Peter Criss could have been the priest in the
confessional booth.
In the confessional booth in Detroit or something like that,
Sweet.
We got the rules picked out, guys.
Yeah.
Paul Stanley as a bartender, though, is absolutely perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Podcast today, movies tomorrow, guys. The future's
with
ours.
With the bow tie. Paul with the bow tie, too.
Exactly. It is perfect.
Another thing, just really quickly, just what I think should be brought up is, I think Tommy Thayer should be applauded that I read that he did that whole introduction montage at the beginning where they threw the credits at the beginning. I thought that was one of the best scenes in the whole movie when they showed all those, the Kiss memorabilia stuff that came up and all those things. I thought that was really excellently done, and it got me very excited.
Really kind of push you into the 70s, seeing that whole montage, with Nixon and there's all kinds of 70s references in there. It kind of brought you back, put you in that time capsule, so to speak. Of this is where the movie obviously is taking place. So.
And they really tried to be consistent with 1978 when they were making it. I remember them putting out messages on, I think it was Kiss Online at that time, we need a beach towel, for the movie, original 1978 product, and I remember the fans were like picking it apart on message boards, when it came out, saying, oh, that poster couldn't have been in the movie because, it didn't come out until December 78, and stuff like that. So that was a really fun time to experience Kiss fans doing what they're best at, picking up, picking through the details and having fun that way. The live scene of Detroit Rock City at the end, that's the only place where the new recording is used, and obviously it's underneath all the explosions, which mask just how dreadful it really is, because it's not a particularly good performance. It's live in the studio, and it's somewhat uninspired. But I'm not a big fan of that ending sequence because after pontificating about how great the footage of Phantom, the live footage of the band, is there, to compare that with Detroit Rock City is just a poor facsimile, and obviously they can never go back and recreate Magic Mountain 78 because, time is the enemy, but, it really was a little bit disappointing, but obviously for what it is, it's good enough.
Yeah. And it's obviously it's not even the whole song, it's a condensed version of Detroit Rock City, and let's try to fit in every Kiss trick in that small time frame, with the smoking guitar, with the fire breathing with the blood. Let's just try to throw in the smashing the guitar, just every little thing we could possibly throw in to that. I mean, it's not a good representation of what Kiss is or what it's like to be at a Kiss concert. It's just, let's just throw every possible thing we can and have as many explosions going on during the song as possible too, and it's overdone in my opinion for what it's not a good representation of what going to a Kiss concert is.
So it's probably unfair of us to even call it a Kiss movie.
No, you're probably
it's just
right.
A movie with Kiss at the end.
A movie based on a Kiss experience.
Yeah, it's a movie it's a movie about going to see a rock and roll band, and it just happens to be Kiss, and they're in it in the last 3 minutes.
It's kind of like Rockstar. It's not about Judas Priest. But it's kind of based offhandedly on that. The whole thing with Ripper Owen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I like that movie.
That's fun. All right. Well, there is a new Kiss movie that came out last week or 2 weeks ago. Julian just quit the show. I am taking over. Slowly but surely. Kill that camera. And it's like that Family Guy episode with Gene and Paul, walk out and Ace and Peter go, now's our chance.
That whole sequence there is hilarious.
Sorry about that. I wasn't. I was going to go get some of my Spencer's crap, but can't find it.
We thought you quit the show.
No, it's actually I had my Scooby Doo video right on my desk.
You want me to grab it?
Yeah, to hold it up so people can see.
Okay, I'll grab it. Give me a second.
I'm off with the show.
Nice.
That is too funny. Where did that go?
I wish they would have gone. My friends have always said, because of Family Guy fans, they always really wish that Kiss would do a Kiss Save Santa special.
You got an actual Kiss Save Santa 30-minute special.
Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten about Family Guy.
I was going to bring up Family Guy, because that wasn't on our list, but I was going to bring up Family Guy.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much... I've watched it. My son's drawn my attention
there it
to
is. So, there is our new Kiss movie. Scooby Doo and Kiss, the Rock and Roll Mystery.
Woohoo!
I watched it last weekend.
There's the back.
Very nice.
Now, is that the Target edition with the bonus?
Actually, I bought this at my local HMV, and I was trying to get the Blu-ray, but they were sold out, so I had to stick with the DVD one, so it was just a regular copy.
I have the Blu-ray with the DVD and the Blu-ray in there. I watched it last weekend. Guys, you guys all have a chance to watch it?
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. It's different. It's you gotta remember we're all adults here except for Alex, and it's geared toward a different demographic. You have to keep that in mind when you're watching it. It is a cartoon. It's a Scooby Doo cartoon from 2015. It's geared toward a different demographic than it's not geared toward hardcore Kiss fans. But it's fun. The Doc McGee character, for me, is the funniest character, and they're always trying to
Chuck
hype
Magoo.
the Kiss product, which is, I think, it's very, very fitting for Kiss, obviously, and very fitting for what I think the public thinks of Kiss, too. Always trying to hawk something.
Yeah, hold on while I drink my Kiss soda, $4.99.
Right. It's pretty... That was the most entertaining part.
I got my Catman green.
But the funny thing about it, you just mentioned how you said it's not really geared toward the Kiss fan, but the funny thing is, there are so many references to Kiss things in this movie that only a Kiss fan would have picked up half of these things. Like, there's lots of things towards the Elder and stuff like that, and, like the Shandy Strutter and all these names, Like, sorry, go ahead, Lonnie, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. No, there definitely is references towards the hardcore Kiss fans, because let's face it, Kiss knows that if we put out anything with our faces on it and hype it a little bit, well, the hardcore fans are going to go out and buy it. The hardcore fans are going to go out and buy it. The casual fan isn't going to go out and seek out the Scooby Doo movie on a Tuesday when it comes out. But yeah, there are quite a few Kiss references in there, and Bruce Kulick tweeted out a picture when they're paging through that book and the one scene in the movie, and they have, I forget what the exact line is, but they're talking about people from the past, and there's like a Bruce Kulick shield, and there's like a Mark St. John shield, and there's even the Vinnie Cross appears on there.
And don't forget the Anton Fig.
Yeah, the figs.
And the figs even. Exactly. I mean, that's really obscure.
Yeah.
And there's the cats from Peter's Drum Riser in the 70s, and a reference to Jendell on there also, it's really cool. So, I mean, it's obviously it's not geared toward the hardcore fans, but they know the hardcore fans are going to watch it, and they threw stuff in there like that that people like us or people listening to this show and people on the FAQ message board are going to get and appreciate. So it was fun in that respect too. And I like the fact that it really is all for their voices. It's not some BS, But one thing that's funny to me is that they never say Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Tommy Thayer, Eric Singer throughout the whole movie. It is Catman, Starchild, Spaceman. They never say the band's real names throughout the whole picture, and I thought that was kind of funny. So, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Throw it out to you guys. Julian, what are your thoughts on the movie?
I actually loved it. I was laughing away at the little, the little things that just touch on everything about Kiss. I mean, characters called Shakara. I thought the names were stupid. Delilah Domino, absolutely idiotic. Shandy Strutter, absolutely idiotic. I chuckled. It was camp in a way. It's the same as Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. It's if Kiss doesn't perform, the amusement park's going to have financial issues. That's the same premise as 1978. It's how they do it. I thought the graphics, the animation is absolutely fantastic. Everything basically, and Chip Magoo, Doc, is definitely, possibly the high point for me. It's just so freaking funny. It's unbelievable. So, I liked it. And obviously, they'd been on Scooby Doo before in 2003. At least Paul had, for the Scooby Doo Halloween episode. So it's not like they're breaking new ground doing it. So I was entertained. I chuckled. I watched it. And if I'd been able to find my copy, I could tell you what the bonus was on the Target DVD or whatever it is. I don't even know if it was a Blu-ray or DVD that I bought, but it had an exclusive of some description. So cool stuff. It's definitely worth, if you haven't done it, get a download of it off iTunes or Amazon. It's only 79 minutes of your life. Well worth watching. So good laugh. Giggles.
No, it's a fun watch, definitely. Mark, what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I loved it too, to be honest with you. I mean, I used to be a big Scooby fan when I was younger, and I just had this flashback when I was watching it, like that Shaggy laugh. And when I heard it the first time in the movie, I was like, oh my god, the guy who's doing them now did it so spot on. It was like, it just brought me back to being like a little like 7-year-old kid, you know. It was hilarious. Just the voices that were done in this were really excellent with the original Scooby Doo characters, and I thought it was also well done how the amusement park, how they made the Kiss World. I think finally Gene had his Kiss World come to life finally for him now in this version of it. It's probably everything you probably envisioned really of it, how it would be. Like, I mean, everything that had to do with him had nothing but fire and stuff like that, and demon stuff, and Paul's had was more like a love-based theme, and Peter, the Catman's one was all jungle stuff, and Aces with all the electricity. And I thought that one of the greatest sequences in that movie was when they were escaping from the witch there, Shaggy and Scooby, and they're going on that Zumba flume kind of thing down the water there, and they were going through all the different members' areas. It was just great with the electricity there and stuff like that. And I thought that their music, the Kiss songs, really gave it a really good boost to it. I thought this was, again, another example of where their music actually worked really well in that sequence. I think that they did a really great job of that. And actually, another part of it, I wrote this down just a second ago just so I wouldn't forget mentioning it, was one of the parts that I really loved in it. And I guess it's another one of these things that Kiss fans would have probably been only able to pick out, was when they showed that part where they did that whole Kiss costume change, where they went into the Destroyer costumes, where they changed into it. I thought that was really cool. And Kiss fans would have probably been the only ones to have picked that out. I mean, kids and regular people would be just like, whatever, they just changed into another outfit. But for us people, we recognize the significance of it. I mean, they always talk about every album that's going to be as good as Destroyer, Destroyer, Destroyer. Well, what do? They change into their Destroyer costumes in the movie, right? So, I mean, you can still tell it's a very important album for them even now in 2015, right? They keep referring back to it all the time, right? And also another thing I thought that was interesting is how, for a record that they kept saying, Paul used to have these cracks about the Elder, how he said, we got letters from people to perform it, and we always sent them back to the mental institute or wherever where they came from, right? But for a record that they keep dissing, there was a lot of references to Elder-like stuff in this, like it was unbelievable how many times they referred to it in this, into that whole was that the Fairly Odd Parents show too? There was a reference to like Elder stuff in there. I mean, it just seems like for a record they don't really like too much, or claim not to like too much. And when it comes to stuff like this in these TV shows, it seems like it worked out perfect for these kind of things, to refer back to these kind of things. But, I thought overall the Scooby Doo movie was good. I mean, I'm sure, and I said this to my mom the other days, my youngest nephew is having a birthday. I think he's going to be 5 or something. And I'm going to go grab him a copy of this. He's all into the whole, plastic guitar thing and pretending that he's playing and stuff like that. And Uncle Mark, and he plays in a band and stuff like that, right? So he's all about that now, right? So I think I'm going to go grab him a copy of this. I think that he will definitely love it, and I think that not only kids of that age will love it, but I think that even as adults, I think we can admit that we love it. I mean, I loved it. I mean, a little bit of us, I'm sure there's a part of us somewhere that can go back to our childhood and find the amusement of this and find the fun of it and enjoy it for what it is. It's a fun movie, and it happens to have one of our favorite bands in the whole world in it. So what could be wrong with that?
No, it's fun. I thought, absolutely. Well, how old is your nephew?
I think he's 5 now.
5, yeah. It's a good age for, things like that. Perfect demographic of what they're looking for. I watched it with my wife, and we're, the opening sequence, and they're going through the opening sequence, whatever, and she looks at me, she goes, "This is horrible." I'm like, you gotta give it a chance. It's 2 minutes old at this point.
Exactly.
But it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I think she came around as we were watching it after a while.
Was she still awake at the end?
What?
Sorry?
Was she still awake at the end?
I don't know if she was really watching at the end. She was still in the room anyway. She was conscious. I don't think she was really. I think she might have been playing with her phone by the end. Alex, what do you think?
It was cool. It's Scooby Doo. It's Kiss. It's you think October, Halloween. I kind of mindset of this spookiness and stuff. The opening montage was cool. I thought definitely a lot of references there. I think that was the cool thing with the film, was just all the references that they had to it. I mean, like, Julian agreed that some of the names a little crazy, but, like, I don't know, when they opened up that book and he saw the symbols, we mentioned it before, like, I mean, that was cool, for us KISS fans who enjoy the band and all history and stuff for that, it's cool for us, because they go like, yeah, that's right, because I like Bruce Kulick, he's got a shield, go Bruce. It was cool. The usage of the music, I mean, obviously they used the more up-to-date recordings of those songs and stuff. And then even at the end, that Don't Touch My Ass, that song's like, it's been stuck in my head now for a little while, and it's kind of, I know, it's a little...
But Don't Touch My Ass, that is a total tie back to Phantom. Remember the Barbershop Quartet?
Oh, yeah.
To me, I was just like, jeez.
But I thought the cool thing with the Don't Touch My Ass was the fact that it was different, and that was cool. It was something different, but it had all four guys singing on it, so that was kind of cool. It was much better than You Wanted the Best off Psycho Circus, so I'd rather listen to Don't Touch My Ass than You Wanted the Best, so that's saying something there. But it was a cool tie-in and stuff. They released it at a good time. Hopefully it still has some steam momentum as Halloween gets closer, trying to, because I've got nieces too, and what a fun gift to get someone who's, 5 or 6, Scooby Doo, and, if they know you like KISS or whatnot, it's kind of a cool little tie-in there, but, reminded me, I think it's cool that they've done stuff with Scooby Doo. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the Diabolical Disc Demon episode of Scooby Doo from the 70s. Clearly, it was Gene Simmons with like fire hair and red lipstick, and I remember seeing that as a kid, on Cartoon Network. So to finally get to see them with KISS. I mean, I know they did this thing in 2003, but it was cool. It's fun. I mean, that's the thing. It's fun.
Yeah, it is a fun thing. It is a fun movie to watch, and I can see, they released it at a good time, I think. I mean, I know it's July when the movie came out, but, stores already have I already saw Halloween costumes in stores already. I mean, retailers get ready for holidays months in advance, so, they'll have a good shelf life over the next few months. So. And Don't Touch My Ass, I think it really reminds me of Van Halen's Happy Trails. Is what sticks out in my mind when I hear it. I'm kind of surprised that KISS Online hasn't made it available as like a download, so they can at least profit off it a little bit. Because come on, KISS fans are going to want to buy it. I mean, even if you're going to sit here and complain about it, and I'm not a big fan of it, but if they put it out there as even a download or as a CD single that you could buy off of KISS Online for $5 or something, I think people would go out there and buy it, just like people went out and bought the Samurai Song deal from Japan, just for the sake of having it and being a completionist.
Yeah, I mean, heck, look at some of the songs. They use Rock and Roll All Night, Love Gun, Shout Out Loud, Modern Day Delilah, and Don't Touch My Ascot. $5 download, iTunes. It's a throwaway song. It's just used for the context of the movie. It's no big deal. I don't see why some people were so shocked by it. It is what it is. It has a function in the in the show, but I mean, sure, would we have liked a full-fledged KISS rock song? Yeah, who wouldn't? But it's kind of different, Yeah, I was thinking more Big Bad Bill is Sweet William Now from Van Halen, with the oboe solo, something that you just wouldn't have expected. But two things I do want to kind of bring up about Mystery is Gene. I mean, his character is also just like Phantom, in Phantom where he growls and breathes fire. He doesn't do a whole lot of dialogue. Everything in Mystery seems to be about Paul Stanley.
Exactly.
So it's almost like when Paul Stanley makes a KISS album now, it's all about him, or he won't do it. So is it the same in terms of the cartoon, that it's all about him? Well, I guess Live to Win, man. All about me. All about you. Or whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very interesting point, because, I mean, like you said, his character in I'm talking about Gene. His character, again, it was referred back to just the whole demon thing. It was lots of growling, lots of fire breathing, and stuff like that. And the most dialogue bit was Paul. I mean, he had the most lines. I mean, I think Eric and Tommy had like a handful of that. And I mean, if anything, Tommy's character mainly just, was surrounded by electricity, and he always just gave this kind of look every time he threw out a lightning bolt or something. So his character was just more like, the razzmatazz and flash and stuff like that. But also about the whole ascot thing, I think the problem with that was not so much. I think the song, like you said, worked perfectly for what it was supposed to do. But I think the problem was that when whoever announced that Kiss was putting out a new song, when you hear new song, you keep thinking, oh my God, it's going to be like, like when they released Modern Day Delilah or a Hell or Hallelujah. You're thinking, okay, it's going to be some rockin' song or something. So they never gave that warning that this is not going to be a song like this. This is going to be, like a barbershop quartet song. They just said it was going to be a new song. So, of course, when they popped it out, people's jaws probably hit the floor and going, what the heck is this? Like they're expecting I think that was the only problem with it. If they would have came out and said, oh, it's just a song for the movie, it's nothing, that we would put on an album, then maybe people would have reacted differently to it. But I think that's why the reaction was like that.
Good. It got them talking about the movie, and it got them Googling what the hell an ascot is.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a funny story. I was listening to this song, and I had a girl over from my apartment. I was in Rexburg, and I was listening to the song, and she didn't see what I was watching, and I just said, like, what the heck's an ascot? And without her even knowing what I was talking about, she goes, like that scarf that Freddy has on Scooby Doo? And I was like...
Nice.
So Kiss fans are going to be showing up to concerts wearing orange ascots now, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
No worse than a purple headband.
You know who what I would love to hear an interview from now, though, speaking of, because I saw his name on the credits, was Greg Collins. And he's done, obviously, he did the re-records, the Sonic Boom, Monster.
Yeah, that just means that they recorded their vocal parts at his studio. Yeah, whatever it is, Nutmeg Studios.
I think it said he had, credit, though.
For writing, too, I think.
For writing the song. I mean,
credits, too, so.
It took a whole bunch of them to write that one song.
So, I think the movie is good. I think it serves a purpose. And, Gene had mentioned, a while back that he had written a new song called Your Wish Is Our Command. And maybe people thought, something like that was going to appear on the film and not something like Don't Touch My Ascot. But
didn't he mention? I think he mentioned that he had just written a song called Your Wish Is My Command in about 2004.
Just written a decade ago.
Yeah, he's mentioned that title before as one he's just written. So, maybe it's like Rain Keeps Falling that goes through about 18 different writings, but that's not a new title as much as anyone might think so.
So, and even and I think I mentioned this last week, but at the Indie Expo, Eric mentioned that, somebody asked Eric about the new Kiss song that was going to be on there, and he said, it's not what you're expecting. He goes, as much as Samurai Sun was a different leap for us, this is in a totally different direction. And it kind of got my expectations down to, it's not going to be just a flat-out rocking Kiss song. It is going to be something different, and it ended up being that, obviously. And the lack of promotion for a new Kiss song was not there either. The Kiss Online wasn't out there promoting it. They were promoting, Scooby Doo and the band being at Comic-Con in San Diego, but they're not saying featuring, the new Kiss, and Kiss Online would say it as the new hit Kiss song, whatever. It kind of got you thinking that it's not going to be exactly what everybody has expectations for. So, anyway, well, guys, the three movies that we discussed kind of took us a while to go through, so I think we're gonna stay with the 3-movie episode for this week, and we'd like to do another episode just to put a little tease out there. They call it, guys. We're gonna do an episode in the future about TV appearances. We mentioned Family Guy a little bit ago. There's a lot to talk with appearances Kiss has done on TV with Family Guy, with the Paul Lynde television show, special with the Millennium episode they did that aired right before Psycho Circus show Halloween of 1998. And there's also a couple of different Kiss movies that didn't happen, like the 1980 film for Australia, which could spark some interesting conversation, I think, too. So I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys, unless you guys have anything else to say in regard to the 3 Kiss films we've discussed today.
Oh, I think my conclusion is I had fun going back and watching all of these. I mean, obviously, I got something out of it by making it all the way through Phantom, and then, really enjoying watching Attack. I mean, I hadn't opened that disc of Kissology, so it forced me to do so, and I'm glad I did. So I don't see myself watching that ever again.
Yeah, I think that they all did their thing for what they wanted to do. I think they were all timestamps of the periods that they came out, and I think that they're good. I mean, like I said, Detroit Rock City and the Scooby Doo ones are probably my more favored of the 3, but they all served a purpose.
Alex?
Kind of the same with them. It was fun going through. It was fun going through the films again, watching laughing here or there, being a little bit shocked. Like, gosh, how did they ever think this was cool? I don't know what they were thinking, but it's the fun thing. I mean, hey, we've got all this cool stuff. I mean, not many bands have their own movie and stuff, so it's fun, it's cool. Like I said, with Kiss Meets the Phantom, it's a little time capsule of the time period and stuff. And again, at least for Detroit Rock City, that opening credits. I mean, Tommy, excellent job on that.
Yeah, eat that, Aerosmith, Uronian, Stigwood's, Sgt. Pepper's. Kiss has had multiple.
Exactly. Kiss has 3 movies for us to go out. 3 movies now for fans to go out and watch. And Kiss has 3 movies for us to go out there and watch, and not many bands can say that. The Spice Girls, they had 1 movie in their 2 years of popularity. Spice World. But Kiss has sustained a 40-year career and have been able to do 3 full-length feature films. All very different, but all very fun to go out and watch from time to time.
Well, real quick, I think we forgot to mention with Kiss Meets the Phantom, Rip and Destroy, terrible.
Oh, God.
I didn't forget to mention it.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Trying to wrap things up. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. Leave us some feedback on the FAQ message board. Leave us some feedback on YouTube. Comment about how Mark looks like a thumb, or comment about how I look like a combination of George Clooney or Fred Gwynn. So, for Julian, for Alex, for Mark, I am Lonnie Weissauer, stlkiss, on the Kiss FAQ message board. You stay classy, Kiss Army.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for spending time listening to the Kiss FAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the Kiss FAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. We hope to see you again.